Zion National Park is one of our nation's most prestigious and oldest national parks. It's also one of the most beautiful. A few weeks ago, I was able to make it out to this natural wonder and be able to explore everything that it had to offer. Ahead, you're going to see my review and what I think about certain aspects of the park, as well as see pictures and videos of when I was actually at the park. If you have any questions about my travel experience, what I went through, please leave a comment below. I'd be glad to reply and answer to them. I hope you can find this video useful to your next national park planning, or if you want to just take in the beauty of what this nation has to offer. I hope you find something in this video. Alright, let's get into it. So when we were driving to Zion National Park out of Las Vegas International Airport, we took Route 15, which took us through Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. It included some pictures here. You can see it's a very scenic drive. You're kind of cutting through some canyons, nice, beautiful open road, typical desert stuff. Very easy driving. The road is very well maintained. When you enter Springdale, Utah, you see this nice little town that's in a valley with these massive crests and ridges that are right next to the town. The town is the definition of quaint. Has a lot of stuff going on, a lot of restaurants, cute little boutiques, shops. Not like they're trying to really prey on tourists, but it gives people a lot of things to do in Springdale. Of the restaurants, I will say a lot of them do come from the Mexican Southwest food variety. There are a few pubs and burger joints, but that's pretty much what you're going to get. There is, I think, a Chinese restaurant in town as well as a Thai restaurant, if you will. A lot of places to stay along this main road, but yeah, this is the one main road that goes through Springdale, Utah, which eventually does lead into Zion National Park. We did find a fantastic ice cream place that I included here with pictures right on the little main stretch, but the town of Springdale does provide some things to do after you come into the park. After a day, you can go out into the town and go to a bunch of different places, kind of shop around the different places. It gives you a few hours of walking activities, if you will. But this is the town that Zion National Park is right next to. As you can see, there's a lot of alcohol functions here as well. This is this is called the Brew Pub. It's actually a brewery that's right next to the base of Zion National Park, right next to the entrance of it. So that's a really cool inclusion right there. So as I said, yeah, a lot of things to do in the town of Springdale, so you really don't have to worry yourself with stuff to do, but you're going to spend a lot of your day hiking in the park, so let's get to that. So one of the best innovations that Zion National Park installed, and really one of the things that made our trip, is the Zion National Park bus line. The bus line has two lines, the one that runs through the town to drop you at various hotels, restaurants, and attractions, and then another line that runs through the park. This line has 9 stops and drops you right next to very important trailheads or designated important areas as well, like where you can see the monument or the landscape just from the bus ride. The bus ride itself is a really cool experience. They have a narrated journey that takes you along the bus and with relevant routes. So they'll narrate what important peaks mean, how things got their names, history about Zion National Park and stuff like that. You get to hear the opinions of park rangers, hikers, photographers, native Indians, and a bunch of other people relevant to the park as well. So really like that bus driving experience or bus riding experience. It really is the only way to get around the park because the canyon is around 20 miles long, so unless you really want to blow out your legs, you really shouldn't be walking it. The bus is a really nice, easy, smooth way to go. When you are planning a trip though, I will say be advised, the bus schedule I think becomes a lot more limited in winter. We went in March and it was the first week of full operation, but sometimes in winter they'll scale back on operation. They might not run the buses into the town system, so you do have to consider that. But I was very impressed with the Zion bus system. There's maps everywhere. It's very easy to navigate, very easy to read. I had a great time because of this bus. So now I'll take you through some photos of our experience at Zion National Park. Basically, we hiked a few hikes every single day. We would game plan out these hikes. They gave a very useful map when you enter the park, and you would basically plan out the hikes based on length, distance, and the strenuous ability. From what I can tell, there are hikes at all levels. I'm not the most experienced hiker or the best prepared hiker. However, they were fantastic day hikes for me. Some that were easy and then some that actually pushed my physical boundaries. And the cool thing is that there are markers at every single one of these hikes that pretty much detail what the hike is about, what kind of things you should know about, what can you expect going into the hike. There's informative signs at every single hike hike you're about to take onto the park. This park is known as the Disneyland of national parks because of how well it's organized and how much it almost feels like a theme park with all the signs and stuff, but the signs and all of the postings and information, they remain unobtrusive. You could see some of these pictures. We're at the top of the canyon looking into the park. It is remarkably untouched and natural and beautiful in its own respect. The paths aren't really that trodden. They're very well worn, but it wasn't that crowded when we went. But I can take a moment to speak about crowding. From April to late September, that is usually the peak season for crowding. In Zion National Park, it expects over 6 million visitors this year. So if you're going to pack and take a trip, there are positives and negatives to every season. When we went, it was around 40 to 50 degrees every day. That's perfect hiking weather, and there were less crowds. However, because it was spring and it was Zion's rainy season, we did get caught in a few rainstorms, and some paths were shut down due to mudslides and rock slides. In the summer, of course, best weather, best hiking, most prepared staff and things like that. However, the crowds do get really hectic. We even noticed when we were there for a few days, the crowds would get a little more crowded every single day. The trails would get a little more stuffy, so always stuff to consider. The trails themselves were really well maintained. I never felt like my life was at risk at any point, kind of walking near any dangerous valleys or stuff like that. If there is a dangerous part, it is well cemented in with a railing or a walkway. You shouldn't put too much trust in it. You shouldn't put your entire life's weight on it, but it is pretty useful in its own circumstance. We went over to the east side of the park as well. The east side of the park really is the lesser trodden area, but deserves a visit as well. Because it's on a different sedimentary rock layer, you get away from the typical red sandstone and you enter this beautiful white packed in sandstone forms, and it makes for a stunning drive. The road is very well maintained, and it's just up the Zion Mount Carmel Junction Highway, which I'm pretty sure if you have a park pass, you can just get in with that. The drive itself is one of the most scenic drives in America, and I would totally recommend that drive for many purposes as well. The east side of the park is also home to the Canyon Observation Point, which is one of the best short hikes of the park. You just have to. Now, in terms of stuff to do, every single day we would check at the main station with the park rangers. Park rangers were extremely helpful and guided us on gave us a bunch of different advice, I should say, on how to navigate this park and all its different trails. I was originally dejected that a lot of the trails were closed due to mudslide and rockslide. However, the park rangers were able to prepare a bunch of different alternatives for us and gave us so many things to do. That is one more thing I'll say about Zion. It is as broad or as little as you want to make it, in the terms that there are always new things to discover, so you can go on the most well-trodden trails and see all the main points that everyone is fascinated about. However, you can see in these pictures, we decided to take a drive up the Collab Terrace, which a park ranger informed us about, and it just turned into a nice, beautiful, scenic 20-mile drive that loops through canyons and up to the mountains that no one really was going on because not too many people know about it. So like I said, there's a lot of exploration in the surrounding area. I also tossed in a few pics here. There is a ghost town called Grafton, where it used to be a settlement, but a lot of people died due to red fever, Native Americans, conflicts, things like that, dysentery. But it used to be an old town, and the church, the graveyard, and the post office from that town is still remaining. So if you're interested in that, if you have a half day, if you have a few hours of downtime, you just take that dirt trail up to that road. It is beautifully maintained by the Grafton Historical Society, so I would definitely give that a visit as well. It was also one of the filming locations for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, so if you're a movie buff, I would definitely get over there. So as I said, there really isn't a lack of things to do in Zion National Park for 4 or 5 days. We were originally going to go to another national park, but we decided to pack it in and stay here because it was just so much fun and so easy to go in and out of the park compared to where we stayed every single day. I will say, if you're going to be looking for a place to stay, you probably want to do it when it's in Springdale and make sure it's near one of those shuttle stops, because if your car isn't near one of those shuttle stops, it's going to be very hard for you to get into the park, especially during the busier seasons. If you've thoroughly exhausted your options in the park, you think, I would take a strong look at Coleb Canyons. The Coleb Canyons are on the northwest corner of the park and are about a 30-minute drive from Springdale on the highway. The drive is very easy and scenic, so I'd recommend doing it. But the Coleb Canyons are a lesser trodden part of the park, which offers a few hiking trails and just a beautiful 5-mile drive to the scenic top. The Coleb Canyons are a different rock formation than Zion National Park, and it's almost looking at Zion National Park from the rear. As you can see from our pictures, we went on a day where it was extremely rainy, so we tried to just burn time and didn't have too much stuff to do, but it ended up being a fantastic time and a really great experience. So don't forget the Coleb Canyons as well. And of course, not even an awe-inspiring national park can escape the strict rankings of our system here, but I think Zion National Park is really going to have no problem with these rankings. Natural beauty is a 9.9. The way the river cuts through the sandstone and creates these stunning rock sculptures that glow at sunrise and sunset and are beautiful at all points in the day. That's an easy 9.9 there. Accessibility is a 9.8. All of the hikes are very easy to reach either by car or by the shuttle system. They're all organized around all those 9 shuttle stops I mentioned earlier. And some of these hikes are even wheelchair accessible, so something to consider there. Amenities and park surroundings are a 9.2. Like I said, they've got a bunch of stores in Springdale, the surrounding town. They got a bunch of stores, places to live, places to stay. They have some restaurants of different varieties. Only gets a tiny knock and score because outside of food and amenities and getting things to do, there might not be that much to do outside of shopping. But at the end of the day, you know, you're there for the park. You can have a really good day in the park and kind of relax in the town, no problem. Speaking of which, the park hikeability is going to be a 9.7. What I mean by that is that there are a bunch of hikes at different levels for different kinds of hikers. As I said previously, I am not an expert hiker. I was kind of nervous. I didn't want to get in over my head with any of the hikes. A lot of the hikes are very clear about who they are meant for, who they aren't meant for, and if you can do those hikes or not. And there are hikes for all levels. The crowds are a 7.9. As you can tell from the pictures earlier, the sooner we got there, the later days that we stayed, the crowd started getting more and more heavy. And this was in March, never mind how they probably turn out to be in July or August. When they say it turns into the Disneyland National Parks, it really turns into a theme park, it seems like, looking at pictures from those kinds of areas. So a lot of these trails here, even with the crowds that we saw, it would get kind of tough to maybe navigate by a few people. You might be like scraping a rock or two, trying to navigate past large groups of people. Some people are more considerate than others and letting their group pass. You know how people are. So that's why crowds get a 7.9. But overall, a 9.92 rating for Zion National Park. It is a natural beauty, natural and national beauty. I was completely stunned by this experience, by the park rangers, the National Park Service, and the organization of this entire park. So thank you for watching along. I hope this sharing of my journey helps you with your future journey if you're planning it. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch my thoughts on Zion National Park. I hope you're able to have a good takeaway from this video, maybe in planning your future Zion Park trip. This is the first time I'm doing a video like this, so I hope it works out and I hope you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've been to Zion National Park, other national parks, let me know what your thoughts are below. Make sure you click the links on the screen to subscribe to the channel, catch more reviews, rankings, and analyses of all different sorts. Make sure you click the links on the screen to catch more reviews of travel and a bunch of other areas as well. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!